Nights ahead. Time now for the Saturday special, 10:06 at KSCO.
Minute, was that my cue that I already missed?
It was.
This is bizarre. This is a super. What's the word? What's the word, Dave Michaels? Help me out here. Geez.
Awkward?
No. Yeah, it's that too.
Weird?
What else? Yeah.
Unusual?
Super, not supernatural.
I don't know.
It starts with S. Anyhow, I'm
can we
looking
say
through
it?
the window at myself, and it's really, really weird. It's not a mirror. It's a window.
What?
And I'm seeing me on the other side of the window, and I'm moving my lips and talking in a different voice, a much better voice than my own.
What? That's weird.
And it's not me. It's like my clone.
How could
What
this
is
be?
going on here?
You got a Halloween clone.
You sound like Josh Stevens, but you look like poor old beleaguered MZ. How did you do that?
Magic.
Holy Christmas.
Yeah.
You're going trick-or-treating as poor old beleaguered MZ?
I sure am.
Jeez.
And at this point, I'm going to be having to ask you the personal questions.
Okay, what is it?
Let's see. How do you feel about the new Halloween? And be honest.
Well, I'm not sure I understand what the new Halloween is. How do we get candy? That's the only thing I care about.
Right? That's what I'm thinking. Like, what do you think about the fact that we can't have our parties anymore? Our Halloween parties.
What do you mean? You mean not just this year, but what do you mean anymore?
Well, for
Who
the
said
time
anymore?
being. For the time being. Because it's illegal.
Yeah. So wait a minute. If people are caught trick-or-treating, they get arrested and thrown in the slammer?
No, they might get fined, if anything. But
what happens if you don't pay it, like you haven't paid your fine?
it just ends up disappearing because it's not actually a law.
Yeah.
That's what I interpret it as.
Okay. So do we want to use our 10,000 watts to urge people to thumb their noses at authority?
No, maybe. I don't know.
What do you think, Dave Michaels?
I don't think that's a great idea, MZ. I think we want everybody to obey the law and be as safe as possible.
But he just said it's not the law. He just said that it's a phony law.
Well, then they should.
It's like fake news.
Follow health recommendations. That's what I say.
There we go.
Follow health recommendations.
Okay.
It's the wise thing to do.
All right, I can drink to that. So how do I feel about it? Well, I mean, even fake laws are there for a reason.
Excellent.
I can't believe what. Wait a minute. Here's another voice. What did you say, Geoffrey? What did you say?
I said, I'm going to write that one down. Laws are there for a reason.
Oh, yeah, even fake laws.
Even fake laws.
Right.
Right.
Geoffrey Dunn. Welcome to KSCO Studios. It's been forever.
It has not been forever.
It's been way too long.
No, you're wrong again. And
When were you here last?
right before COVID. And we were here
That's
for
a long time already. It's a whole
Hold
lifetime.
Hold on. It was right before. The news was just starting to come in about this coronavirus. You wanted to go to Cuba with me. I'm sorry to out you on that. But you were planning on coming to Cuba with me, and we were putting it together, and you said, oh, I can't go now. There's this. It's coming out of China. Boom, boom, boom.
I said that?
You did.
I thought you said that.
I didn't. It was you. And he's dressed as you, and he's got your color scheme on. It's tough in here.
Well, the good news is that you can
Dave
get it
Michaels,
too.
yeah.
This is just some of the gear that we sell out at the Dave Cave, which I will be out there until 2 o'clock today, MZ. And today's
Our
special.
new shipment has come, huh?
Today's special is the Beyond Tangy Tangerine boxes. Now, these come in 30 individual packs. Each packet is a one-day supply of your 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids. It's got probiotics, prebiotics, glucosamine, MSM. All that stuff is in every individual packet. There are 30 of them in each box. We have them out at the Dave Cave today until 2.
And if those of you out there in KSCO land, for all of you who love the taste of tangerine, the flavor, this is it. Okay, now, BTT, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, has been the staple. It's been by far the biggest seller. And now, with people wanting to beef up their immune systems, it's out of stock. I mean, you can't get it. So our entire pallet order that we do every month from Longevity.
Is that tangy tangerine I hear?
It sure is.
Oh.
It's that simple. You just rip open a packet, throw it in any water bottle that you have, MZ, the little disposable bottles. Pick up a bottle of water anywhere, take one of these packets, throw it in there, and it sounds like this. That's it. You're done. Drink it down. The longer it takes,
Does it
the better.
sound like that once it's in your body?
I don't know. It probably could if you drink it too fast. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to trickle charge. That's what you do. Sip on it. Think of it as
Yeah.
trickle charging. It's fantastic.
So
stuff.
anyhow, we usually order a whole bunch of stuff, the biggest selling stuff. But there's nothing bigger. There's no bigger seller than BTT
Right.
2.0.
Part of the
forever.
Part of the reason why we did this is because we always sell out every single month. So this time we have plenty of BTT. These are in the 30.
But there's more that I might not have told you, Dave Michaels.
What is it?
You said always get as much BTT as you can. Well, in this case, I couldn't get any. All the canisters were sold out because there's a huge run on them. That's one of the most popular vitamin mineral supplements on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And
I
so
absolutely believe
the standard canister were sold out. They said they might be in early November. And I said, well, what about the individual package, which I think are better anyhow because they're more convenient. You can just grab them and throw them, in the car or something, or in a suitcase or in your briefcase
Trick
or
or
whatever.
treat. Right?
Wow, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
But it's illegal.
Well, if they do happen to show up to your house, you can maybe throw it at them out the window or something.
I see.
As long as you keep your 6 feet of distance.
Okay.
And
So
sterilize your
anyhow,
hands.
we bought an entire pallet of these because they were readily available. And I've been thinking for quite a while that we should do this anyhow. We should do some sort of a promotion with area restaurants that want to promote good health and promote the fact that they're back in business and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So that was yet another reason for us to get that. So
Good.
So you can't say enough of BTT, the product itself, but this particular packaging and convenience factor and so forth is just unbeatable.
Fantastic. Each packet has your 87 of the 90 essential nutrients. Each one, every day. Take it.
Yeah.
I'll be
Great.
out there till 2 p.m. today, MZ.
Thank you,
You got it.
Dave Michaels.
Dave
Okay.
Michaels out on this beautiful day, and I would recommend to anyone in the region to get out, come down by beautiful KSCO, and take in the gorgeous views from what is the First District, Live Oak, Midtown, whatever you want to call it, down here. God, it was beautiful coming here this morning.
Yeah, and I'm so happy you did. I was going to be coming in from World Headquarters.
World headquarters
And
up
then-
in San Francisco.
yeah, and then I
have
decided-
been there, by the way.
It's pretty cool. Huh?
It's
Yeah,
cool.
So anyhow, Geoffrey Dunn,
Yes,
I
sir.
want to explain to people, and people do know who you are because you're a famous person around these parts.
It's on bathroom walls everywhere, buddy.
Anyhow, do you remember when we first met?
I do.
Okay, you want to tell that story or should I?
The way we first met, of course, was you owned a property next to my mother and my Aunt Gilda on West Side Santa Cruz. And it was the old McBain house.
That's right.
And Mr. McBain had been mayor of Santa Cruz.
Right.
And
He wore a dress.
his daughter, Penny McBain.
Right.
We did a show in here one
It wasn't
day.
really a dress, it was a kilt.
It was a kilt,
'cause
yes.
He was, McBain is
yeah.
Scottish. right?
Yes. And McPherson wore him too. I mean, we had a lot of Scots here in town, and they let us socialize, us Italians socialize with them. So anyway, you had a renter who was really disrespectful of the elderly Italian women on the west side.
Just by being noisy.
Just
right?
by being noisy. And I called you up, and I said, Michael, you don't know me, but my name is Jeff, and I'm really trying to take care of my mom and my aunt here, and you got too much noise going on. I probably was just in high school or out of high school, and you called them up while I was on the phone. I don't even know how you did that. And you told them to put the noise
It's called
down.
three-way calling, and it was brand new right then. I said, I'll deal with this right away.
And I heard you deal with it, and I went, wow. And then we engaged in a conversation after, and you were doing film and video stuff, and you were an early guy to that medium back in the day when no one really was doing it.
This was like 1986, I think.
Oh, earlier, I think. Yeah. Maybe it was. When
it was 80 or 86 because I didn't own the property. I only owned the property for like a year and a half.
But I knew.
But before that, I had gotten into the video production business in 1973. So
right. So we talked about that. You said you had all this old footage, blah blah blah. At any event, I wasn't a teenager. I guess I was in my 20s, but we've been friends ever since. So that's 35 years.
And I tell you. Like you were impressed with the way I handled that situation.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed how you were such a great advocate for your people, for your mom and your aunt. And to me, that is just pure class. You know, you and I are cut from the same mold in that regard. You know, we honor our family and our elders and so forth. And I just thought that was really cool. And you've been a hero of mine ever since because you do so damn many things.
And you called me to come down today, and I had some stuff scheduled, but I reworked the schedule, and you're here. Because the last time I was here was right before COVID. You and I had discussions about taking a trip. And a little bit before that, I had been up to visit you at World Headquarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful spot up there, and we had a great dinner at Original Joe's in North Beach.
Yeah, that's great. So, Jeff, what was the first book that you wrote? Santa Cruz is in the Heart?
Santa Cruz is in the Heart was the first book.
Okay, and how many have there been since? Like a pile of
like
them?
9, 10, something like that.
And what has been your most popular book?
Well...
The Sarah Palin book, right? Because it's national.
Book. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Now, when Sarah Palin came on the scene, your and my politics are not the same, but they sort of are the same in some ways, right? But when Sarah Palin came on the scene, it had a profound effect on you. Like Donald Trump has a profound effect on a lot of people, right? I mean, Sarah Palin certainly had a profound effect on people, and you were one of them. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to put out wrong information. I think that you were so fascinated / incensed with Sarah Palin that you decided to write a book about her. And you can't write a good book without really immersing yourself in Sarah Palin land, which was Alaska. So am I wrong that you rented a house in Sarah Palin's neighborhood?
I wasn't the one who moved next door to her, but I did move up to Anchorage.
For like 6 months
for
a year?
For a while, my family came up. I love it. I love Alaska. And looking back on that time, I had just been to Alaska when she was named. And I had a lot of friends up there who said, this woman's, let's put it this way, controversial. She's not who John McCain thinks she is.
Oh.
And they were right. She was way more and way less than McCain thought, and different, because I've become, as you know, became very good friends with a lot of his inside team, who are still very active right now. Mm-hmm. And there's a big article in the New Yorker about a lot of this crew, this issue, and they are being very critical of Trump, but they embraced Sarah Palin and then turned on her. And forget about...
You mean way back when?
Way
right?
back when, yeah. But you know, it's been covered in the film Game Change, which basically was taken from the details from my book. And I have to say that in many ways, Sarah Palin's candidacy, some very concrete ways, foreshadowed Trump's presidency, and in many ways foreshadowed this current election. So it's interesting to me. I was more fascinated than incensed by Palin, and it was a phenomenon that I found fascinating. Plus, I love Alaska. I love the fishing scene up there. I love the grandeur. I love the people.
Being a Stagnero.
There you
from
go.
The Stagnero fishing family. How could you? It's in your blood,
it's
right?
It's in my blood, and I actually went and cut fish up there when I was 19. First time I went to Alaska. So I love it up there. I absolutely love it. I love the people. I became friendly with a lot of kids she grew up with up there and even members of her family. So anyway, and she's still now threatening to run for Senate in 2022 against Lisa Murkowski.
Oh, wow. Okay, but you have your ear to the pulse of politics everywhere, local, regionally, state, national, everything. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And that is why, for many years, it was a standard, a staple here on KSCO radio on election night for you to be present here at the station for the election returns and as one of the pundits.
Yes, one of the pundits, and I was the left pundit, and I have to say I always had a great time. My favorite time I said I need a shot of tequila, which you can't have in the radio station.
Let's have it. What the hell?
Well, let me say this. And who comes in with a shot of tequila but Steve Hartman? And it's the only time I've ever seen you get upset. You threw Hartman out, so we went and had the shots out in the parking lot.
Wow.
If Stevie is still around.
I know I must have changed because, see, the Alzheimer's is showing through here because I don't remember that. It's definitely something I would have done.
Okay, so.
For sure.
You did. All right. Well,
Yeah,
we're both.
but no, I'm changed because I said, hell, let's do it anyhow.
That's not.
That's
not the old MZ.
Yeah, the old MZ was terrified.
Yeah.
And the new MZ is sort of an idiot. I mean, the new MZ is whatever happens. There's a reason for everything, including the winner of the election this coming Tuesday, and we might not know for weeks, but I think
maybe a month.
I think we're going to know.
We're going to have a sense. But let me say this: you and I can make our predictions. I read polls. My graduate degree was in quantitative analysis, and I read all the polls. I've read 10 this morning already, but we really don't know. And one of the things you complimented me about is not quite true anymore, and it's this. In the old days, before social media, you really got your information on the ground. And predicting local races, I did because I had such a broad network of friends, family, always in the community. No moss. So I don't have those ties anymore.
Why not? What happened to them?
Well, first of all, I'm not into social media. I've never have been. Secondly, a lot of the election activity, campaign activity, now takes place behind the scenes. It takes place on social media. So I don't see it like I used to. I have a sense, but there were a couple times, as you recall, where I picked city council races with 12 people in them and picked them all in a row. I had a perfect card one night of 12 council candidates. I can't do that anymore. There's stuff going on that I don't see. And there's tensions and animosities and anger, all of which I don't see, but I feel it. It reflects on me, and I get calls periodically from people who I love who give me a very hard time, and that I don't like. So there's a dynamic in American politics now that I don't like anymore, period.
Oh, yeah, people can't. Yeah, go ahead, Josh Stevens.
So-
A.K.A. Poor old beleaguered MZ.
MZ, look-alike.
God. He
So-
looks more like me than I do.
He does.
That's a shocker. So, well, I wanted to pick your brain more about the facet of social media. You say you don't engage in it. Why? Are you not a fan? Do you feel it's deteriorating the cause of political platforms? Could it be messing with the process even? What's your thoughts? And MZ, you didn't tell us good morning.
Oh, thank you, Josh Stevens. Answer the question first, please.
Okay, I'll answer the question. Josh, first of all, I am a bit of a Luddite. And by that, I mean technology presents issues for me. Michael brought up the fact that I grew up in one of Santa Cruz's old Italian fishing families. And I was one of the last great Italian fish cutters on the wharf. So I'm good with a knife. My father was a cowboy, was good with horses, good with guns. He was a mechanic. I'm a very good auto mechanic on any car that's built before 1992. But I'm really not good with technology. Michael knows a dear friend of mine who handled the technology end of our filmmaking enterprise, Mark Schwartz.
Oh, yeah.
and also Eric Tierman. Those guys are into technology and cutting edge.
Totally.
Nice. And what fuels your passion on the local level? Like, what are your main subjects that you're on it like a hawk?
I would say the entirety of the enterprise of the city of Santa Cruz, because I still live in the city of Santa Cruz, and I stay focused on the county of Santa Cruz. It's hard not to in this community. I mean, on my way here, I have to tell you, I'm not kidding you. I think I encountered probably 40 or 50 Manu and Leopold signs on the way here. And before I left here, a couple of my friends heard I was going to be on the show, calling me, "You get to be on with MZ." No kidding. A guy who met you at the Old Timers luncheon last year. Mm-hmm. And another cousin called me and said a bunch of signs had been defaced in the last 48 hours in the 1st District, which is where this station is located. And
were they signs from both sides that were defaced or just one?
I think they were the signs from one side. He showed me pictures. My point being is there's bad blood in that race. I've been the recipient of anger from literally both sides in the race. It never ceases to amaze me. But
Manu was sitting in that very seat that you are.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, we decided to do a candidates forum just for that one race. That's the only one we did.
Yeah.
And Manu said sure, and the other one said no. But he was scheduled back to back, every second right up until we said, hey, don't you think this is a big one because you can meet a lot people, but
you can meet a lot of people.
So Manu got the whole 2 hours.
Well, good for Manu.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. John Leopold, very astute political figure, has done a stable job at the county. I have, just to be clear, I did endorse him. He and I have not always seen eye to eye. I think Manu is a fine young candidate. A lot of my friends are backing Manu. I think, and I want to talk about this a little later, I do think that whoever wins will reflect the 1st District. And I believe that. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about, 2 things. Seeing Josh in his outfit today reminded me of the fact that when you and I were kids, and I want to probe this a little bit, because I do feel bad for my kids that they don't get to go out and trick or treat.
Well, they're too old anyhow.
Well, they actually, but they don't get to potty and do whatever they do. Okay, so
isn't he great?
I just gotta say they don't get to potty. So I came home last night and they had the place all decorated for Halloween. It just warmed my heart. And it brought back memories of when we were kids. I'm a little younger than you, but I'm guessing you used to participate in the East Side Halloween parade.
Storybook parade with Hocus Pocus as the Grand Marshal.
And we'd march down Seabright, all of Santa Cruz. Yeah. Kids from every school were in their Halloween costume, and we'd march down Seabright and then head down Soquel. And it was the coming together every Halloween of the city.
Yeah.
Did you participate?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah. Couldn't not. It would be impossible.
There's footage of it that I've seen, and I've used it in one of the films I made. It just was a way that Santa Cruz came together back then that doesn't happen anymore. I mean, those days are long gone. It's fractured and broken, and it's just not the same.
It wasn't political. It was apolitical back then.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you this, because then we'll get back to what Josh was talking about, and we'll segue. But I wanted to ask you, one of the people called me up and gave me a hard time. I said, I've been watching County Board of Supervisors since I was 13. I used to go watch the supervisors. Do you remember where their meetings were held in 68?
At the Cooper House.
At the Cooper House, down on Pacific Avenue, on Pacific and Cooper Street, in the old Cooper House. and you could just walk in, and there was Henry Mello, and I'll get the other guy's name in a second I was thinking of, but Hoot Kress and George Locatelli and all the old supervisors, Dan Forbes from Santa Cruz, and I'd go in there, and it was theater free right off the street.
Yeah.
And these guys, then the next day, their pictures would be in the paper. It was like seeing these big stars. And Henry Mello became Senate Majority Leader of the California State Senate. Very powerful guy. And there he was in there representing Watsonville.
Yeah.
So who was your favorite? Did you have a favorite early political person?
Not really, because I was never political. I didn't become political until after 1979. That's when I became very political. Why? Because I bought a lot in the city of Santa Cruz and went through the permit process to get a permit to build on the lot. I was 28 years old.
Where was it? Where was it?
At the top of Laurel Street, on the corner of Laurel and Escalona, with the address on Escalona.
Got it.
766 Escalona.
Right across the street from my cousins, the Castagnolas.
Very close.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very close. And that's what turned me into a person interested in politics. Because I'm talking about the beginning of 1979. I'm talking about January, February, March. It was the first real estate I had ever bought. And I was thinking that prices were going up so fast back then that I could become a millionaire in Santa Cruz, in my own hometown, and not be able to afford a dump. So someone
saw that early.
I saw that, absolutely.
Okay.
From 1975 to 1980, the prices went crazily up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a friend of mine heard me whimpering one day and said, "Why don't you do this? You're going to pay through the nose for your own property, your own house anyhow. So why settle for someone else's dirty old house when you could build your own by buying a lot and building exactly what you want?" And that sounded like, and he said, the way it works is that typically, unless you really screw up along the way, that you're going to end up with something that's worth considerably more than what you paid for it if you were to turn around and sell it.
Who was this who told you this?
Bill Peck.
Wow.
You know Bill?
I know who he is, sure.
Yeah, good guy. He's still around. I saw him the other day. I mean, I don't know, 6 months ago.
See, I had a similar person. About 5 years later. I had made a small chunk of money, on a film.
Yeah.
And it was Mark Schwartz, previously mentioned, his father. And we had screenings at the Rio. His father comes to town and is literally yelling at Mark, "Buy a piece of property, buy a piece of property."
Yeah.
And Mark went, "No, I'm not doing what you do."
Why?
No, he didn't. It was his father who wants
of
to.
course,
You see, it wasn't your father who told you.
Yeah.
So I said,
He told me prices were insane.
Okay, so
My dad did.
okay, so Mark's dad turned at the table because Mark gave him the bad juju, and I said, "How do you buy a house?" And I have to be candid. I had just made $8,000, which was a lot of money. And he said, "Well, you could put it down. You can get a loan, blah, blah, blah." I went, "You're kidding me. How can you buy something in Santa Cruz?" And you know what? My wife and I bought our first condo for that, and it's turned it into the house we live in now. And that $8,000 is probably grown in value to over $1 million. Right? So, great lesson from Sam Schwartz.
But here's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Because it was on a slope, more than
gotcha.
30%, I had to go through a design review process where a board of 5 idiots.
Yeah.
Only one of them. Only one of them could even read a set of drawings because he happened to be an architect.
And none of them
But
could
everybody
change a
else was
tire
a
on a
lay
bicycle.
person.
I got it. Yeah.
And they had the power to tell me to review my design. It's my house. It's not theirs. They had the power to tell me what color I have to paint my house and what materials it was to be built of. This was in 1979, a design review process. It made me crazy. It turned me political pretty quickly.
Okay.
And it turned me conservative politically pretty quickly.
Understood, and I want to get
And
back.
I grew up liberal.
Your family was one of the few Democrats in town.
Totally, yeah. We were us kids had to be card-carrying members of the NAACP and the ACLU. We had to, or else we didn't eat. It's as simple as that.
I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But boy, did things change with that. Trying to get a building permit for a stinking, 72-foot by 125-foot upslope lot. Anyhow, that shaped my politics for the rest of my life.
for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you what I was called in to do. Actually, before that, I was studying political theory at UCSC. I went from SoCal High, was going to leave, but my dad had left town, so I stayed in town, take care of my mom and family. And I had a younger sister who was here, so I stayed. And I always was very close to my Uncle Molio, who was very much a character on the Santa Cruz Wharf.
Totally.
Okay. And a colorful guy.
I did a video profile of
that's
him
right.
in
He was one of-
1973.
Okay, so this is about that time. He comes to me, Geoffrey. Geoffrey. He's down at City Hall or trying to take away the parking lot where we put all the fishermen who go out on the fishing boats. It's right where the National Marine Sanctuary Center is today,
Yeah.
right in there.
It was
That's
long
on
before,
autos.
long before that, though, right?
What? Oh, no, yes. But there's still an empty parking lot toward the wharf, still there, and the city was trying to take away the parking lot from the family. He goes, "You gotta help me." So I did, and I succeeded. And what I did was I learned how to get through the morass at City Hall, to cut through the politics, and to meet with people to make sure that the city couldn't mess with my family. Okay? Other people then started asking me to help, and I've been involved doing that ever since. But it's for people who don't know what it's like dealing with these local bureaucracies, it can be a real nightmare, and I'm assuming it was for you. And that nightmare turns you into sitting with me here right now.
It was just horrible.
40 years later, right?
Just horrible, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow, Josh, I haven't forgotten. Geez, this is the latest we've ever done the Good Morning jingle, but better late than never, as I always say. So here it is.
Good morning, a brighter day is here. Good morning, may we bring you cheer.
We've got time, we've got tunes, we've got time, tunes, and temperature.
Get up and go, it's today you know on KSCO Radio.
Good morning, all you folks out in Radio Land. This is MZ. I'm welcoming you to hour number one of the Saturdays. What do you want to say, Josh? But
This
say
is
it before.
also MZ.
Okay.
I got 2 MZs.
God.
I'm either lucky or it's a nightmare. I don't know which, but there we
It's
go.
a nightmare. It's definitely a nightmare.
No, I'm
Believe me,
lucky.
it's-
I'm lucky.
All right, so stay with us until noontime. We'll have some fun. So will you.
Good morning, now stay right here on KSCO Radio.
Now, see here. Listen, Josh Stevens. 2 of my favorite San Francisco people are on hold, okay? You screened these phone calls. Paul Kangas and David in SF. Are they going to... I don't want to deviate from this nice little local conversation we have going. I mean, do they want to knock us off track? I mean, I love them, but do they want to knock us off track?
The first one might keep it a little bit on track because we did touch on the whole social distancing era and responsibilities beforehand, and also probably going to lambast the governor, I imagine, given that subject line. And we've been talking about roasting people on the local level. Maybe not so much the state, but the other one, yeah, definitely.
David in San Francisco is gonna. Okay, just because we like these people so much, because they dignify KSCO by calling us and being willing to be part of the
We
program.
can, Michael,
What?
You and I can handle segways. Come on, bring it on.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right.
You know,
Jump in the
I'm
Shark
just,
Tank.
I'm just a local kid, but I can talk big time.
You sure can.
All right.
Here, so let's talk big time with Paul Kangas. The Paul Kangas, not just a Paul Kangas.
Well, I want to know where in the city he is.
Tell us, Paul.
Yes, it's amazing. I'm up on top of Mount Davison, and from here, last night we're walking around the block, and there's smoke all over the air in the rest of the city, but there's this giant river of fog that invades this neighborhood every night. I mean, and you can see this giant river of fog coming off the Pacific Ocean, and it pushes all the dirty air out of this area, and it gives us this clean ocean air and pushes all the dirt over to Berkeley. And so, yeah, last night it cleaned, the fog cleaned the air here.
Beautiful.
And
This is a good thing. It's not a bad thing
Yes.
in anybody's book, except maybe
Yeah.
maybe the people in Berkeley.
I was thinking the people
Yeah,
in Berkeley,
yeah.
but hey, you got clean air, and before the fog hit, it was so clear last night. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I have been campaigning for office for the last 200 days. Every day across San Francisco, I go out and walk the streets.
Are you running for something,
No.
Paul?
Board of Education.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so and if you read my statement in the Voters Handbook on page 31, it's quite different from all the other candidates. Quite different. So I've been campaigning no mask, going hand to hand, talking to people face to face for 200 days, almost daily, 2 hours a day.
Did anybody
I go out.
spit at you?
Oh, no. Because here's what's going on in San Francisco, and the police know this, and they're always trying to counter it. In Dolores Park is a point of resistance. There is almost nobody wearing a mask in Dolores Park, and so the police show up there occasionally handing out masks. And people take them and put them in their pocket, and everybody's sitting around, relaxing in the sun, drinking some wine, smoking a doobie, and totally without masks. So it's been great in Dolores Park for 200 days.
And I'm curious. I used to stay right by Dolores Park, Julian and 16th, not too far away. Is it a diverse cross section of San Francisco hanging out there?
Well, I know it is because I actually talk to every single person in the park every day for 2 hours.
Wow.
And I carry a sign that says, raise teachers' pay by adding 1,000 solar panels to each San Francisco school, earmarking the energy and money raised for teachers' pay only. That's what my sign says. And so I ask people, what would you think of raising teachers' pay? And almost everybody looks at the sign and says, well, of course we got to. And so we get into these great conversations. So it's a real icebreaker. And right away I ask, if you're a San Francisco voter. And in the old days, when I first started, it was 50% were San Francisco voters. And so I got a lot of great responses from all kinds of people. And I go out of my way to talk to every different kind of person there is in the park, because some of them are voters and some are not, and I need to separate them out. And sometimes people will ask me, why are you not wearing a mask if you're out campaigning? I say because 3 reasons. 1, I take vitamin C hourly, which makes me immune. 2, I was in Wuhan, China, when the epidemic started with a whole bunch of my family members. 8 family members and I were over in Wuhan.
Wow.
Mixing it up with people in Macau, a festival of 1.5 million people. And so
Well,
I've been
wait a minute.
exposed
Macau isn't
without
close to
knowing it.
Wuhan.
Well, it is. It's on the way.
Oh.
It's on the way to Wuhan. So there was a festival there of people from Wuhan. It was the 150th anniversary of Macau, and the people came from all over China for this festival. So there were huge parades of people from Wuhan. So anyhow, so because I've been there, I've been exposed. And I got sick for about 6 or 7 hours, and then got well because I take so much vitamin C and cod liver oil, things like that. So then we came back to San Francisco, and then we find out the day after we get back that there's an epidemic coming out of that area. So I'm a veteran. I immediately go to Veterans Hospital and say, hey, I just came back from China. And they went, oh, my God. And they immediately put me into isolation for an hour or two and then gave me all kinds of tests, blood tests and temperature and stuff, and said, hey, you may have had it, but you're now immune if you've had it. So you're free to go. Bye. So they let me go. And so I'm immune because I've had it.
So you have to explain that to everybody. Maybe it would be easier just to wear a mask than to have to explain all this to everybody who asks you that question.
Very few people ask me the question because most people in the park don't wear a mask. But occasionally it comes up.
Yeah, for example, I don't know how much you've listened to me, but I've been railing against masks. Not so much against masks. I've been railing against the government directing us that you have to wear masks to go into a private business. I think that's the private business owner's responsibility.
Or even outside.
And nobody else's. Nobody else's. And if you, as a customer of a particular business, choose to go in or not, then you got to live by their rules. Now, lately, I wear a mask a lot. Even I walk around with a mask.
Yeah.
And I've actually sort of half-jokingly said I'd rather wear a mask if it's a KSCO mask, because I can breathe through this KSCO mask. It's fabulous. I think if Dave they're for sale for $10.80 each, and you could use them 5,000 times.
What a price!
Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, I would rather have a mask if it's a KSCO mask and wear it than not. So that's
so. The other day there was a demonstration in front of Mission High, which is across the street from Dolores Park. So I go over there. I carry this big sign that says, "Sweden has achieved near zero COVID deaths." And I was carrying this sign, and I'm over at this demonstration. It's a lot of people I know from the Unitarian Church and Code Pink and Veterans for Peace and all these left-wing groups. And they're all wearing masks. I'm not wearing a mask. So they start yelling at me, I have to wear a mask. And so I say, no, thank you. And that's all I do. I just stand there with my sign. And the Unitarian Church calls the police on me to have me arrested. And I know the law. I went to law school. So I just stand there, and the police officer comes up and says, well, as you know, he probably recognized me, you don't have to wear a mask. And you can stand here. Just don't yell at anybody. And I said, well, it's obvious. You've been watching the demonstration. They're yelling at me. They're getting in my face. I'm not responding. I'm just standing here. So the cop says, you can stay here. Don't worry about them because we're right there. I said, yeah, I know. I'm not worried about them. So I stand there and have my friends yelling at me, put on a mask. And I refuse to do it. And a couple of them take the time to ask me why I'm not wearing a mask. And I explain, I'm immune. And the Chronicle ran an article 2 months ago saying people that are blood type O are immune.
I'm blood type O. What are you, Geoffrey?
Don't know.
Oh.
Don't know. You must be an American.
Yeah.
The American.
Anyhow, Paul, always great to hear from you. Thank you for this. But I want to get back on our track with our special guest.
Well, no, look, I love listening to this.
I know you do.
No, I find it fascinating, and it's my way of gathering data around the country, around the state.
Now
and
you
San
know
Francisco, I love
of the famous Paul Kangas, soon to be on the board of
education. We'll look for his results after Tuesday night. Paul, blow San Francisco a kiss for me. Mask on or mask off. Yeah. And I did a story about, my mother had the 1918 so-called Spanish flu. She was a little girl. Oh, yeah. And I found photos of the family in masks in 1918. Did a big article for Good Times. It's online. You can look it up.
She lived to be mid-90s, right?
No, late 90s, 99 and a half.
Wow.
And so I went back and read all the newspapers, and I found an account in the Santa Cruz Sentinel of my mother and her siblings having the flu at the house, being hit very hard with it. The Italian fishing
Do they
community.
take vitamin C?
This
Do they
was
take
in
vitamin C?
1918. So you tell me. I don't know. But what I do know is they had it, and they survived. And my mother, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, told me about having it. And it was so I got very interested in reading the accounts in San Francisco and around Northern California of communities. And Paul, you would have been arrested in San Francisco in 1918 and 1919 for not wearing a mask. And it wasn't just a $5 fine back then. It was a pretty substantial fine. They were very serious
No, actually,
about
this
wearing
went
masks.
to the Supreme Court. This went to the Supreme Court.
No, it did.
There's a case on it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, people in San Francisco were arrested and charged, and one guy was shot by a police agent up there for not wearing a mask. So it's part of San Francisco's history. Where'd you go to high school, Paul?
Well, my parents were migrants, so I went to a different school every year. My parents.
Where'd you graduate from?
Hermiston, Oregon.
Okay.
We were the largest family. When I was a senior there, my two brothers and sisters, twins, were juniors. My other sister was a sophomore, and my youngest brother was a freshman at Hermiston High School, where I graduated from. The year before, I'd gone to Stanfield, Oregon, another town about 10 miles away, where I was on the football team, even though I was 5 foot tall, weighed 98 pounds. The town was so small.
They
couldn't
needed
have a
you.
Football team. That's right.
They sure did.
And so we won the state championship that year.
Okay, well, let me say this. I worked a summer in Oregon. I love Oregon, too. But I'm telling you, my family goes back to San Francisco to the early 1870s, and they were arresting people in San Francisco in the 1919
Well, they're not
flu.
now. I can guarantee you that. They're not now.
Okay.
So-
All right.
Thankfully. Okay, appreciate
All right.
your call to 479-1080. So, Geoffrey,
Yes.
do you have a prediction? You don't want to make a
No,
prediction about or do you want to about the presidential election?
Sure. And let me say this. You and I have a bet. And the bet is a breakfast or a cup of chowder at Gilda's if it reopens.
And if not?
And if not, we'll figure out another. Oh, we said Zachary's. So,
Yes.
yes, okay. So, my read on the election, and I want to say this again and get back to what Josh was bringing up. I do not do social media, so I don't know what's going on, even on the national level, how that game's being played in social media. But let me say this from reading the
Anything
polls.
that's pro-Trump it has a good chance of being censored or deleted.
Okay, okay. And I'm not even doing it. So let me say this. I was one of the people, you'll recall, who last time, in 2016, said that Trump had a very good chance of winning. And you and I had that discussion before the election. And all my liberal friends here said, you're nuts, you're nuts, you're nuts. And when he won, I forget the night because I was flying.
It was November 9th.
Okay, and
Yeah,
I was.
it was the anniversary of my birth.
There you go.
It was the best birthday present I ever could have been handed.
And I
Trump
was
getting elected.
I was in the Virgin Islands. I was in St. Thomas when the results came out, and they were not happy there about the outcome, but I had predicted it because I saw it coming. This time I'm seeing it differently. I think Biden wins hands down, and I think in the popular vote, Biden will win by 5 million votes or more.
Jesus.
Okay.
And the reason you say that is so many people who hate Trump are going to come out of the woodwork and make sure to vote.
Or hate Trump. There's not, as you know, people love Trump or hate him. He brings out passion in people both ways.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden's not.
Yeah.
He's not. Obama did, but Joe Biden's
yes.
not. And Kamala Harris does a little, but not nowhere on the level that
So
Trump
why
does.
aren't you predicting a Trump victory? I don't get it.
Oh, because I see Trump losing 3 or 4 key states. Let me tell you which ones I think they are. I think he loses Wisconsin. I think he loses Michigan. I think he loses Pennsylvania. And those 3 states are what sent him over the top last time. I think that Biden also wins Minnesota. So there you go.
Wait, you think Biden would win Michigan as well?
I think Biden's winning Michigan.
I would only contest that in one facet, and it's the facet of what Governor Whitmer did with the shutdowns, including the shutdown where even the stores that were deemed essential could not even sell gardening supplies. So people wanting to get their tools to make their own food were told, no, you got to go online. And that, I think, ticked off a lot of people. Hence,
I agree. Look, there are a lot of issues in all the states. On Wednesday or Thursday, we'll look at the outcomes. I think the polls indicate he's winning there. So let me say that. I think that. I think the supervisorial race in Santa Cruz County, in this district, going to be very close. And I think in the Santa Cruz City Council election, it's going to be a bit of a mashup. I think that Martine Watkins, who was former mayor, is likely going to win. I think that Shebra Kalantri Johnson, who has been an excellent candidate, is going to win. And beyond that, I can't predict it, although I think Sonia Bruner, who works with the Downtown Association, has a broad range of support in the community, has a good chance of winning as well. So those are my local predictions.
All right. We do have David from San Francisco on, so let's find out what he has to say, because it has something to do with the elections and U.S. unity. Go ahead, David, you're on.
Yeah, exactly, Michael. And by the way, if I remember right, and this goes back far away back in the conversation, you were talking about getting your house zoned, right? But wasn't that because you wanted to have a helicopter pad and a bat cave?
No. Very funny, very funny. But hey, listen, we've only got about 2 minutes to the top of the hour, so let us know what you called about.
Yeah, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's why we kicked out the king, right? And we hire a guy on as president or vice president or sewer boards, school boards, mayors, to be the employee of the people. They manage our stuff. And we pay taxes to buy a good bridge that's sound and worthy and it's going to be there for 100 years. And if the guy that's the property manager at the time, the mayor or the bridge inspectors, they're supposed to do their job right. And they're not supposed to be screwing around and complaining and not doing their job right. And by the way, I disagree with Kangas on those masks. Even if he was immune, that he still could be carrier. If he's hanging around with people too much and just going person to person, and he hangs up their coat over his coat over theirs, he could smear snot onto their jacket. It's just not smart to be screwing around in an epidemic. But yeah, I mean, government of the people, by the people, for the people. Trump is our employee. He's not acting like it. He's acting like it's his private domain. So.
Okay, so you're obviously predicting that he will lose, right?
Well, if you're a patriot, you want him to lose because he's a slumlord. Uh-huh. At best, he's a slumlord. Yeah, otherwise, he's a traitor.
Okay.
Which is worse, a slumlord or a traitor.
Right.
Because, if he really owes, say, $1 billion in the next 6 years, who's he going to be handing it out to? If they give him campaign contributions for trade negotiations, the American people could lose trillions of dollars just for his measly $100 million.
So here we are at the top of the hour. David, thank you for calling 479-1080. Santa Cruz, KSCO, Santa Cruz, Salinas, Monterey, San Jose.
KSCO studio, it's 55. We're expecting highs in the upper 70s, overnight temperatures back down to the low 50s, sunny skies, and mostly clear nights ahead. Time now for hour 2 of the Saturday special on AM 1080 KSCO.
Here we are, back.
We are.
Yeah. Geoffrey. Oh, that's right. You're leaving. Geoffrey's leaving. Because Geoffrey has another engagement. I forgot. I thought we had him for 2 hours, but no, he's right. He only committed to 1. That's true.
I would always commit.
Right. Okay. So there goes Geoffrey. And I guess what we're going to do is, I guess I might have to sing. No, I won't sing unless people insist. If people insist on if they demand that I sing, I will. Sometime for the hour number 2. We'll make it an open mic, I guess. But let's take Steve in Santa Cruz. Oh, no, wait. We're getting all screwed up here. We got to do the hour 2. We got to do the hour 2. Ready? Here's the hour 2 jingle. Here.
Oh, hello, darling. I hate to hang up on you, but I'm sorry, baby, but I have to go. It's time for that wonderful record show. I'd love to visit, but you'll have to call back. KSCO has the inside track.
Hello. Here we are on the last Saturday special before the most important election of our lives.
Sorry, baby, but I really gotta go to KSCO Radio. Bye.
And I
Also-
want to, well, yeah, go ahead, John.
You forgot something.
I know this. Here, ready?
Is it a fanfare or a crossfire day?
Doesn't that make you nervous? Give you a knot in your stomach?
Absolutely.
Yeah. For the last hour, we should have had the fanfare for Geoffrey. Because it's always special when Geoffrey is on with us. Yeah, so anyhow, should I do that? This is appropriate for this hour.
Absolutely.
Are you sensing that it's going to be tense?
It is. The debate is firing up.
Okay, let's see here. There's 15 seconds left. Should I let it play out?
Yes.
Okay.
The anticipation builds.
3, 2, 1, end. Okay. Now, we should have done this last hour for the fanfare, so we'll do it now. Okay, we got all the bases covered now.
Yep. Crystal
So,
clear.
listen, I want to throw out 2 topics. I am very depressed about this tonight, 2 a.m. You know what happens at 2 a.m.
What happens at 2 a.m.?
2 a.m. first, 2 hours into Sunday.
Oh.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, back to standard time. Ugh. I hate it.
Didn't we vote on something to not have that
That's
anymore?
what I thought. I don't
It
understand what happened.
expired. The bill expired.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's what I want to propose, okay? There's probably not enough time to do this because it's only hours away. But there's plenty of time for us to all contact our Congress people, our representatives at the national level. And I guess at the state level, too, because there are some states that don't participate in daylight saving, not daylight savings, daylight saving time. Most of arid zona, some of Indiana, or all of Indiana, all of Hawaii, and there's 2 or 3 other places that don't participate. So they're always on standard time. But I want to put it out that it's very depressing to me that it's going to be dark or almost dark at 4:30 starting tomorrow. I mean, that's just nuts. And I think that we should be not only on daylight saving time all year long. I think we should have a super daylight saving time where instead of at 4:30, it goes, make it, just stay on standard time, but then add another hour or two and make the clock go forward even more. That's what I'm predicting, okay? How many of you think that this is a good idea? So what if it's dark until 8:30 or 9 in the morning? So what? At least it'll be light during these 4 horrible, depressing months, after 6 o'clock, close to 7 o'clock,
Sounds like a case of
Don't you
seasonal
think that's a
depression.
great idea? I've never heard anyone advance this idea.
Until you have to put it back 2 hours, and then you get double the sleep deprivation.
No, leave it all. Don't leave it on all year long. No springing forward and falling back. No more of that. Just get rid of it altogether.
Nice. What's your part 2 question?
I forgot.
Well,
Oh, wait a minute. BT. Oh, yes, I know what it was now. And then there's even a part 3. I want people to weigh in on this program that we're doing, China Uber Alles. Nobody in the United States seems to, certainly none of the media, is putting forth any kind of a program devoted to the evil of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, which in my opinion makes the evil empire referred to, that President Reagan referred to in the 80s, and he was speaking about the USSR, the Soviet Union, as the evil empire. This is the evil empire on steroids times 1,000, not times 100. I'm not exaggerating. And people don't understand what has happened with the Chinese communists becoming so wealthy over the last 40 years because of us, mostly because of us. They don't realize that they're going to kill us. They're going to destroy our way of life. And they're already starting with the election of Biden, if it happens. I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to, because he's bought and paid for and owned by the and all these lefties. I believe that some of them don't even realize that they're bought and paid for, by the CCP. What do you think?
I think that is a strong possibility because of the fact that the other day when I went on and hosted Flight 1080 on Thursdays, I talked about
China Uber.
Right after. Cammie and I were talking about how cool that show was, and got a bunch of people talking in, giving their testimonials. And when I mentioned a way on how to get China Uber Alles into China by means of using neighboring countries and plopping up an AM station, broadcasting it on a loop at night, so it can get through the border, because AM waves don't know borders at night. I suggested that on the air. Well, later on that evening, somebody tried logging into my Facebook account, and I have the thing called two-factor authentication where they text you code, and I got a number, or it was from the original Facebook number, and the message was in Chinese, giving me a code to get into my phone. So that meant I think I'm on China's watch list now, because I sent praise to the show and sent ideas on how to get it through to their people.
What is that? Radio Free Europe, I remember. You're too young to remember this, but the Iron Curtain isn't soundproof. I remember that slogan. And so, the message of freedom could be broadcast, to people, to unfree people. And that's really cool. And that's what you're talking about now. But you know what? I think it's what's way more important than that is to get the message through to our people in the United States who are belching and farting and sitting on their asses on their couches watching. Well, I guess you can watch sports now.
Entire King.
And Netflix and stuff when we're about to lose our precious country, And I really think that I'm so proud. I'm so proud of what we are doing in our small little local station way. and hopefully we'll get some more. We've gotten quite a bit of national trade press already. But I'm hoping we'll get a lot more. But I really want to know from our listening audience right now in the 43 minutes we have left of the program, please, if you've heard China Uber Alles, I want you to give us a call. And even if you're critical of it, because that you could help us make it better, right? 479-1080 or mz@ksco.com. Okay, so let's go to the phone call. We'll take the next, and that would be Rory. Hi, Rory. You're on the air, Rory.
Yes. Hey, good morning. Great show. Before I talk about China Uber Alles, I just want to say, I don't know if Jeff's still listening, and Dave in San Francisco. My California bona fides, grandma born in San Francisco. She was 12 when the quake and fire happened in 06. My dad was born in a house at 18th and Dolores. My mother's family, all from Italy, from Liguria, came to California 1860s, 70s. I'm a staunch, traditional, patriotic American, and I think our president's going to win going away, and it's going to shock the world again. Thank God.
I
That's
think
my
so.
prayer.
I don't think I have any bets at all except with Jeff.
Well, Jeff's a good sport, but he's going to lose. He's going to be buying you breakfast at what? Stagnar? No, you said.
Well,
Zach.
Gilda's, which was his aunt
I
Gilda.
know.
That's closed now, but who knows? Maybe if KSCO listeners put enough pressure on the Stagnaro family, they might change their mind. That's what I hope. That's what I hope they'll do. I'm not saying there's any evidence of that, but it's a lot more likely for Gilda's to reopen if that happens than if it doesn't happen. All right.
Let's hope.
They
Anyway,
had the
back to
best
China.
scrambled eggs, and they had the best link sausage I've ever put in my mouth.
When my mom was alive, and her family side was Canepa, or as they say around here, Canepa and Castruccio. She loves Stagnaros and Aldo's. Also.
Yeah.
But China Uber Alles, that is one special show. I mean, timely, great info. I subscribe to the Epoch Times, or Epoch, as people say. But I subscribe to them. That is some of the best journalism going. And with Amy adding in
real
the story,
journalism for sure. Yeah.
it's unbelievable. It's so good, and I think it's going to go national at some point. And Josh, you got hacked, or an attempted hack, because the CCP is listening. I bet you they monitor every minute of KSCO now. Okay, and I'm sure you're not surprised or unaware, Michael.
What?
You know you're being monitored by the CCP.
So.
Oh, yeah, for having the temerity of running a show like China Uber Alles that exposes their despotism. And you look back to the days of Nixon. I was just a kid. Michael, you're a young adult. And when he sent Kissinger over there, they looked over that country, and it was 1 billion peasants on bicycles in the Communist Party that drove around in big fat cars. And they said, this is an apple ripe for the picking. We put them in business. We created the best enemy money could buy to enrich the globalists that hate a person like Trump.
We have nobody to blame but ourselves for this, but it's better to get smart late than never, don't you think?
Yes, and I'm not blaming the American citizens that were asleep and unaware. I'm blaming the evil globalists that did this with full intent. So on the ballot,
mention some names.
Well, Kissinger.
Okay, and he's still alive.
The money. Yeah, the money.
And what about the Bush family who kept talking about New World Order?
Yeah. Oh yeah, come on. Yeah, that Senate when in 90. What was that? 90, 91 when Bush the first uttered that, sent a shiver down my spine.
Yeah.
And I had never even heard of Dr. Stan. But when he said the New World Order, I went, whoa, what's this? It's like the Third Reich coming at us. So the point is, you got two choices for a president. You got the incumbent, Donald John Trump, or you got President Xi. Those are the two choices. And if you vote for Biden, you're voting for Xi. And I challenge anybody, go look at the videos that were on Hunter Biden's laptop. And if that isn't going to be used, or what they had planned to use that for blackmail, open your eyes, wake up. It's sick. Gateway Pundit has an article on it. They'll direct you to a Chinese nationalist, not communist, but a pro-free China website. They blur out the essentials, but you get the idea. You don't have to watch it for a second.
I'm going to remind people.
We are compromised. The Bidens are compromised. They are a criminal operation. And I hope David in San Francisco is still listening. Go look at those tapes, David. Wake the hell up. This is dangerous. We are treading in dangerous waters. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Keep up the China Uber Alles and all the other fine
Oh, we
programming.
intend to.
Yeah, and I could go on, but I just, hey, you're a long-time Californian, as I am, and many others. I went and voted today at the fairgrounds, and I ran into a neighbor who I didn't even know was there. I know his mom. And many generations in California voted Democrat. For a while, my mother's father, my grandfather, was the only registered Democrat in San Marino, down in Southern California. Today, he'd be drummed out of the Democrat Party for being a patriarchal, money-grubbing individual, which he wasn't. He had principles. But it's changed, folks. The left, the communist left, has taken over the entire Democrat Party.
Right. Okay.
So,
hey, thank you, Rory.
Ciao.
I appreciate
Take
your
care.
call. Fran in San Jose, you want to comment on China Uber Alles?
Yes, I listened to it, and I'm very happy about the program. And I just wish more Americans would wake up. I'm sick and tired of they're in the twilight zone. I wish they would wake up, and we're going to lose our freedom if we don't vote for Donald.
We're going to make a serious PR effort to get members, either non-Sioux or there's three hosts. There are three co-hosts. There's Billy Graff. There's Amy Howe, who grew up in China, and no one understands the oppression of China more than Amy. And Nan Su, who is a senior reporter for the Epoch Times. We're going to go to work on getting them guest shots on talk shows all over the country, radio and television talk shows, because they're great spokespeople.
Good.
The other thing that's going to happen is that we're going to invite talk show hosts who might not be aware of the severity of the danger to be guests on China Uber Alles. See, and we'll sort of do a little cross-pollination there. So that's our plan. Fran, before you go, how did you find out about it? Are you a regular KSCO listener?
I always listen to KSCO because I'm traveling to Monterey all the time, and I happen to find the station, so I've been listening for years. Sometimes I'll call Charles Friedman, and I listen, of course, to Rush Limbaugh, and on it goes. I can't listen all day because I don't get it on my radio, but that's how I found your station, because I kept going to Monterey. I have a house in Carmel, so I go back and forth all the time, and that's where I listen to you when I'm on the road. So that's how I found the station. So I've been listening a long time.
Do you think you're going to have your house in Carmel long if election?
Well, I want to sell it. I've got two houses. I've got one in San Jose and one in Carmel, and I just can't do all the work, and I'm old, and I just can't do all the work anymore.
Wow,
so
I know that feeling.
I want to sell it. I want to sell it and get my money out of it. I put 35 years into the house, and I'm tired. I'm tired of going back and forth, and I rented it out. And
No, wait a minute. Maybe you should keep that and sell your San Jose.
I don't want to live there because of my children. They're too far away from me, and I'm all by myself in Carmel.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I like Carmel. I like my little house. It's really cute, but I just rather take my $1 million and get out.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, all the best to you, and thank you for your kind words.
All the best to you guys. I appreciate everything you guys do on the radio for our freedom. Thank you very much.
Okay. Take care.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one. Here is Mary in Aromas. Hi, Mary.
Yes.
How are you feeling today?
I'm great. Everybody relax.
Good.
I'm going to be 98 on Monday, and President Trump is going to win.
Now I know
my
for
birthday
sure
today.
that's going to happen. You know, because
So it's just
Mary strongly feels that to be the case. And Mary, you know, I happy birthday in advance. But I think we're going to have to make a big fuss over your birthday on Flight 1080. So if Dave is listening, you know, I'm sure Dave can figure out a way to make that happen. The other thing
What's going to happen?
well, to help you celebrate your birthday on Monday.
On Monday.
Yeah, and can you? I've been wanting to invite you to come to the station and be a guest on the Saturday special or one of our other shows. Would you be willing and able to do that?
I live so far away.
That's okay. We could send somebody to get you if you don't have someone to take you. And it isn't even necessary. We could do it on the phone, but it would be better to have you at the radio station.
Oh, God, I'm so excited about the election.
Well,
You have a birthday next Monday.
maybe we should have you at the election for our evening our Tuesday evening programming. You know, either at the station or on the phone. What do you think?
My son's coming from Scottsdale, and he's coming in on my birthday that night. That's impossible.
Well, but that's Monday night. Now I'm talking Tuesday night.
Yeah, my birthday.
Oh, it is election night is your birthday.
No, the second.
That's what I thought. Okay, so you might be free for your actual birthday to do something with us. Because you're one of our favorite callers, and you know, and you've achieved quite a bit. You will have achieved quite a bit, making it to the 98th anniversary of your birth in just 2 days.
98.
98. Yeah.
And you're going to be how old on the 9th?
Who, me?
Yeah,
I'm going to be 69.
that's what my son is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why?
No, I'm not sorry. I'm happy. I don't know. I'm all mixed up. Anyhow, thank you for calling
You're sure
479,
welcome.
and all the best to you on your birthday.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Okay, you take care. Here's Colonel Terry.
Well, good morning.
How are you feeling, Colonel?
Well, I'm mixed about a lot of things. First of all, you know, I argue for respecting facts. Actually, advocate that and promote it.
I know that. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the facts about daylight savings time, first of all, are great idea. The reason it discontinued in the winter for those 4 months is because kids were getting hit when they were waiting for the school bus or crossing the street in the dark in the morning.
Yes.
Okay, so it's safer for children going to school to have daylight savings time adjusted during the darker months.
Well, who's going to school these days, these pandemic days?
There's still children out. Whatever. At some point, they'll go
Wait
back
a minute. I don't know whether I made you laugh or you're coughing uncontrollably. Which is it?
those things. On the COVID-19 matters, where your fellow from San Francisco said Sweden has a low rate, I pulled up the evidence, the actual facts. Sweden has some of the highest rates of COVID because it was very late to engage in any restrictions.
But what site are you using for those facts, which
for
might
one, it's
not,
Time
which might
Magazine.
be fake? Oh, that's
not
the
about-
mainstream media, Terry. Come on, you don't buy into that, do you?
World Health Organization numbers for Sweden. I'm also looking at the European numbers. The point is Sweden did very poorly and was late to integrate, to institute mask wearing and social distancing, and they're paying a price for it, as are we, thanks to Trump's poor leadership on COVID. I want to divert to that. Now, more importantly on the Chinese, I also listen to Chinese Uber Alles. I respect the folks on it. Bill does a great job, and the evidence about China's wrongdoing should get out and be promulgated and understood. Trump, regarding China, is late to the switch. He has failed to push the World Trade Organization membership of China to be rescinded, which he could do if he had real spine about China. And we discontinue their World Trade Organization and favored nation trade status because the evidence, the facts, about Red China are they've stolen our jobs, they're stealing our money, they're stealing our economy. It goes on and on and on.
So he's the roughest on China of any of the candidates or any of the politicians. So that's one thing. I'm not speaking for you. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. That's probably the only thing that you somewhat respect about Trump. Am I right?
No, well, to be correct, I voted for Trump because I wanted our immigration laws enforced, and I still do. On China, he has not done a strong a job. It's been a con job. His daughter, for example, gets all kinds of favored trademark opportunities in China that no other American is allowed to have yet. In addition, he hasn't been strong enough on China. It was proposed to him in the administration push for their World Trade Organization membership, which Bill Clinton gave them caving in because the Clintons were bought by the Red Chinese before he was even governor and afterwards and continuing. And I could give you that evidence sometime. That's the tragedy. Bill Clinton was corrupted to help China. They got into the World Trade Organization, and they haven't kept the membership requirements, if you will, and we should rescind that. That's the correction. Are we still on?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Anyway,
I was reading your email while you were talking to our listeners.
You're welcome to look at that. Yeah, Becky Steinbrenner, you should have pushed for her election on the county council, the county supervisors.
I agree.
Much stronger. It's a tragedy she's not on the board of supervisors.
Oh, yeah, she would be great. Who would she have been running against?
Closer.
Zach.
Who?
You
Zach
closer.
Friend.
Oh, okay.
Who caves into Swenson Builders and everything else.
I see. Okay.
At any rate, on the election, it's mixed. On the China thing, we should expose the Chinese wrongdoing and cut them off at the knees in terms of
and Trump hasn't even come close to doing that, right?
back the 4 million manufacturing jobs the Clintons gave to China.
Oh yeah, I think they're the most evil people in this whole scenario.
That's probably true. Yeah. All right, stay well, MC. Oh, by the way, you and I have a bet on the election.
We do.
Oh, I remember. I can pull up the program.
Oh, okay. So what is it now? Yeah, because I'm sure you're right. But go ahead. What is it?
Dinner at an expensive restaurant.
Of the winner's choice.
Shadowbrook. Dinner at Shadowbrook.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Good. Thank you. So I stand corrected. Do I have any other bets that I forgot about?
I think there's like 8 or 10 other people.
No, that's not true. People are taking advantage of my feebleness. That's
okay. At any rate, look, I wish the best for the country no matter what happens on Tuesday.
Okay.
Real quickly.
I know you do too.
Wait a minute. Here, Josh wants something for you.
While we're on the whole subject of China, what begs the question for me is, while we are having this manufacturing job moral dilemma, what's in our pockets? Smartphones. Where do those smartphones come from?
China.
Exactly. So why aren't we ridiculing those?
That's because they pay their people 35 cents an hour to make them and box them.
How do we...
So fine, you pay a little more for a smartphone. Maybe they're $40 in Wisconsin or Texas or Oklahoma or California.
I have to cut poor Colonel Terry off for you to be able to talk. Do you have anything else to say to him?
I want to also raise the question, how do we stop normalizing that? What is it going to take for us to bring the tech manufacturing back into the U.S. of A.?
We declare that's where it's coming back, and we point out that China stole it to begin with.
That's fair. Yeah.
He says that's fair, Colonel Terry.
Okay.
Thank you for
All
the
right,
call.
so thank you very much for calling 479-1080. Here's Andres. What would happen if someone called you Andres instead of Andres? What would happen? Are you there, Andres? I don't hear Andres.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. I want to call you Andres. I don't want to roll my R's.
Undress? If you call me undress, I would ask you right here, right now.
Oh, I didn't mean undress.
No, feel free to call me
Andress, but not
whatever.
Not undress.
What about Andy? Is that
Okay.
easier?
That's fine. So you
Okay.
want to talk about China, right?
Kind of, sort of. Also wanted to agree with Colonel Terry when he said that he's a little confused about things. He's 100% correct when he says that. So if Josh can get his Facebook account hacked by some Chinese entity, maybe it's not in China, maybe it's one of those, what do they call it, United Front or
Hacker Farm.
Liberation Front. There's an organization here.
Well,
Go ahead.
maybe it was Facebook itself who doesn't like what Josh Stevens says. I wouldn't put it past them because
Or maybe, yeah,
they
it could
like
be a Russian
China
bug.
and they like anything that Trump doesn't like. You know, isn't that true? And
Right.
Isn't that Google? Isn't that Apple? Isn't that all the high tech?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it could have been anybody from that direction, but it's still the Chinese force, the Chinese mindset. And I'm not talking about ethnic Chinese. I'm talking about the
By the way,
globalist.
does Mr. Twitter did he get points with you this week when he's admitted that it was a mistake, or for them to
That wizard.
censor the Joe Biden story on Twitter?
Kind of, sort of. I mean, I don't keep track of him. I know of Twitter. I don't have Twitter, and I heard that he didn't let New York, I think it was a New York Post, come out of the jail, the Twitter jail.
Uh-huh.
I don't know his intentions, so I'm not really. He's not a good guy for me or anything like that. I wouldn't see him as a good guy. It's just you can't hold on to the truth. The truth is a powerful thing. It's like love. You can't, if you hold on to it and don't let it go, it'll hurt you. And I think it was starting to hurt him, so he let go of the truth and allowed the truth to be out. So that's what I think his intentions were, but I don't really know him. I don't add points or take away points for what he did.
Okay.
I hope that answers that.
Sure. What about China? What about China Uber Alles? I know you listen because you call.
Spread it.
Yeah.
Spread it as much as you can. I was thinking YouTube would be a great thing, but I like your idea of having guests on. Have you had any? I know that you promoted it on the Michael Harrison show, but have you had any of the people from the show, the program itself, on his show? And is that an option?
No, and I think it would be an option because Michael Harrison is highly supportive of the program. He thinks it's very,
that's
very
one idea.
important. Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to say about China is that if somebody from that side can influence Josh, who made a simple comment, a smart comment like he did, don't you think they are that much as able and as willing to influence other decision makers in our local area, like the supervisors?
Yes.
Board of Supervisors, and that ties back to Halloween that we were talking about earlier. You got these health orders or guidelines for trying to prevent Halloween, trick-or-treating, downtown parties, beach parties, anything to lock us down economically, socially, whatever.
That's
I think
tonight.
that it's our... Yes. Would you like to join me downtown tonight?
No, I'm gonna be out of town. But if I wasn't gonna be out of town, I might just sort of take a peek. But I don't like to be part of any movements, myself, unless someone wants to create a movement to keep daylight saving time all year long and advance it 2 hours this time of year.
You could send me there.
Listen to that logic that Terry put forth, that it's to save the children. And so to save the children, you have to change all the world's clocks rather than just changing the school schedules.
Yeah.
If it affects the children, why don't you just start school later?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, Andres, I think you are an excellent, intelligent human.
And beautiful.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, but I did see you the other day. You said I had seen you before, but I don't remember. But if I saw you again, I think I'd recognize you this time. Anyhow, thank you for calling 479-1080. Okay?
You're welcome. Thank you, too, for taking my call. Bye.
Yeah, great. Here comes Steve and Carmel. The real infectious death rate.
Yes, have you heard?
No.
Well, about 2 weeks ago, the World Health Organization had a big meeting. I don't know where it was, probably over in Europe or something, but they came out with some different figures.
Oh, that was more like a month ago, I thought. But go ahead and maybe you're talking about something different.
You'll see if I tell you whether it is or not. But they said back in March that the death rate was 3.4%. So now, 2 weeks ago, they said, no, wait a minute, 10% of the world's population has had the virus. So that's 7.8 billion people we have. So that means 780 million people have had the virus versus what they thought was 35 to 40 million people. So that takes the death rate from 3.4% down to 0.14, which is right in line with the seasonal flu. So the death rate for this virus is no different than the seasonal flu. And also, you know how they talk about spiking all over the world?
Right.
That's based on the same 35 to 43 million people have had the virus. Now that 780 million people have had the virus, all those figures are irrelevant.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know why it didn't get more widely reported.
Well, because we're the only station that seems to want to report the truth.
And
we're just a tiny little radio station.
Well, yeah, you got a big voice, though. At AMZ, they also said that the lockdowns, they did not recommend them because what's going to happen in the next year, the poverty number of people that live in poverty in the world is going to double because of these lockdowns, and also the child malnutrition is going to double or triple in the next year. And I wonder how many people are going to die out of those people from, malnutrition, children malnutrition, and people dying from poverty, starvation, poverty, whatever.
Wow.
Lack of care, lack of all kinds of stuff because they don't have any money.
That makes a lot of sense.
So what do you think, Michael? 0.14% is the death rate.
It's making me mad the more I think about it.
So there's all this stuff about spikes. Everybody says, oh, there's spiking over here in Europe and there, and they're going to lock down Germany, and they're locking down this, that.
I want to ask if there's anybody in our audience listening now who has been very, very concerned about the virus and being very religious about being locked down and wearing masks and social distancing and everything, who, for whatever reason, has changed their attitude recently to feel like they've been had and played like a fiddle.
All been had.
Well, no. I want to know if there's anybody. You're not, because I don't think you ever believed in any of this stuff, Steve. Am I right?
You didn't really believe it very long either. What happened with me, MZ, is when they first came out with Dr. Fauci and Trump up there on the stage, and they're saying 1 to 2 million people are going to die in the United States. That scared me for about a couple of days. And then within a week and a half, later they lowered it to 100 to 200,000. I knew right there they were a bunch of frauds. They didn't know anything. You know what I mean? When they go from 1 or 2 million, then a week and a half later, it's 100,000 to 200,000.
Yeah.
So these people are just playing games, and then you find out, you hear stuff about it's not doctors and people saying it's just a regular flu. Maybe it's a contagious version of the regular flu, or maybe has some other things about it. But the death rate is what really counts.
That's what I'm thinking. I really am thinking. What is it, Josh? You were making a
I just I wanted to actually segue in just a moment.
Josh, Josh, go ahead.
I had a caller ask me a question, and I wanted to answer it on the air whenever possible.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Pure Heart asked about social media, how it works, because I mentioned the whole story about my account getting almost hacked. And basically, when it comes to social media in comparison to the old days of the internet relay chats, it's basically those old chats on steroids. Like, you have a whole website, you can post statuses, you can even post advertisements, you can pay to get whatever message you want to billions of users across the world, all because of the fact they have what's called sponsored postings. And you can do that for politics. You can do that for social justice causes. You could do that for posting a bunch of internet memes if you want to. And you can even have what's called groups, and these groups can have people from all around the world influencing your ideas. And so could that be a dangerous thing? Could that be used for nefarious purposes, such as advancing the Chinese agenda? It sure can, because everyone across the world intermingles. Could these people be real? Could they be where they're saying they're from? We don't know that. But when it comes to social media, it's just a smorgasbord of the whole world, and internet relay chat on steroids is the best way to describe it. And Twitter, yapping about whatever you want in 140 characters or less. So that was it. And how do I find topics? I just look at headlines across the whole world. I just search various news sites and see what I think is interesting. So thank you for the question, Pure Heart.
Yeah, he's still there. I put you back on, and when I do that, you can't hear poor Josh Stevens, but I'm going to put you back on now. Okay, there you go, Josh. Thank you. All right, Steve, we're done, right?
Let me tell you one more time.
All right.
0.14%, the death rate that the WHO says it is now, is over 24 times lower than the WHO's provisional figure of 3.4% back in March. This figure was used in the models which were used to justify lockdowns and other draconian measures. That's what the 3.4%. So then, since that isn't true anymore, they know better. There's no justification for lockdowns. Anyway, have a good one, Michael.
Thank you. You too. And thanks for calling 479-1080. Lucas in Soledad, thanks for waiting. You're on.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, I hope the American people see beyond this whole China thing and realize that Joe Biden, if he gets elected, it's going to be a big mess. You know, he's going to get away with murder of what him and his son did as far as trying to make money for themselves, and China is going to use that over against him. And I hope the American people that are listening right now, the Democrats, are understanding this is not politics no more. This is just about some family, like the vice president, who was the vice president, screwing up and thinking he was never going to run again. And bottom line is, he was going to make money, even though it was wrong.
That makes sense. Well, thank you for stating it here on your favorite radio station. Here is Craig in Santa Cruz. Are you really in Santa Cruz, Craig?
Well, yeah. Actually, I have a 4 a.m. That's my cell phone.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm actually sitting right downtown. Hey, I want to be maybe one of the lone people that like turning the clock back, and I'll just give you a couple of my reasons. Personally, I like to be able to rest in the evening, and when the sun's out really late, I can't. I'm a workaholic. I'll work on my yard or whatever project until the sun goes down, and then I don't get any sleep. I think it's good for people to be able to rest at night. I think we're too much into staying busy, getting more done, going more shopping and stuff.
Okay, you've convinced me. Scratch what I said.
I doubt it. But and dark mornings, they can be more dangerous. People are out, going to work, and they're through the neighborhoods, and it's dark, you can't see. It would be hard. I heard the argument of moving the kids' school times, and that's it's a way to try to figure that out. But I know as a parent, when I brought my kids to school a while ago, they already made my day really difficult because of the time they started. Make it later, and then the parent has even a harder time dealing with their children in the morning. So that's that on that. I really appreciate the China Uber Alles show. I think it's just amazing. So thank you for that. And Twitter and Facebook with them are still pretty much blocking them. When Who's Face from Twitter was testifying in Congress, said they had released the New York Post's Twitter account, Senator Lindsey Graham, right? He went right to Twitter within minutes and still could not get those news things out. They were still blocking it. And one other thing for Facebook and their censorship, There's another show I listen to once in a while. They have a fan page, and on that fan page is lots of pro-Trump stuff, and they got shut down for violent speech. And there was nothing violent there. It was just people appreciating Trump.
People need
So
to
there's my
have
thoughts for this.
their own platforms. That'll take care of that.
Yeah, there's new ones coming up. Aren't you trying to move to a different one, or you just keep getting new ones? I don't know how that works either. I've never done any of them myself.
We have our John T., who is our director of digital operations here for KSCO and ZBS, and he's working on it. But anyhow, yeah, and poor Alex Jones was deplatformed by the big companies.
All of that, so many
Yeah.
people, and there's
he's
nothing.
He's doing okay, I think, by just having his own platform. That's one of the wonderful
That's what
things.
people need to do, and then go out and support the people you like.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
All righty, thank you, Craig. Appreciate your call to 479-1080. Here's WC is after Kurt in Monterey. Go ahead, Kurt, you're on.
Yes, there's an old friend of ours named Stan.
Dr. Stan?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said many, many times on his show how the United States put Mao in power. And what happened was that the Congress voted money for guns for Chiang Kai-shek. And I have no idea how to pronounce that in Chinese. And Stan said that the State Department held up the two ships, one in San Pedro, one in San Francisco Bay. Congress voted support for the nationalist Chinese, and the State Department, contravened that. They held the ships up here until Cheyenne was sent out to Formosa, so he had no option but to retreat. And then when the guns did finally get to Formosa, there were no bolts in the rifles.
Oh, my.
Stan said that many times on his show.
Yeah. Geez. There must be thousands of hours of Dr. Stan in recordings. Someone should check out. So last week we mentioned Dave Allen, and I played a little bit of a 20-minute scope. I played the whole thing, actually, last week, and people really appreciated that. And during the program, I mentioned that we have a briefcase full of cassettes of Dave's old shows. And I went and found that. I went and retrieved it and put it in a very safe place. But I need to somehow make arrangements for those cassettes to be digitized so that we could play those things, or put them on a website or something.
Call me. I have a guy in Monterey. He's been doing a lot of digitation for me. He's really good. He's doing great work. And I have a little surprise for you.
What is it?
I'll be glad to loan you probably 3 banker's boxes of Stan's shows.
Oh, okay. Well, what would be better is if you could arrange for them to be digitized, and then they could be shared with people a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, but I hate to be responsible for something because stuff happens, and then it doesn't get returned, and I don't want to accept that kind of responsibility, if you know what I mean.
Well, give me a call, and we'll find a way to do it, and I'll give you the number of the guy that's been doing great work for me.
Great. Okay, Kurt. Appreciate it. And appreciate your call to the KSCO Saturday Special. Here is WC. Hi, WC. Haven't heard from you in a while. How you been?
Marvelous. I finally got through. I've considered this Kung Fu flu crap fake from day one for several reasons. One, the 6-foot distance. Just talking to somebody, the air and the molecules travel more than 6 feet. You cough, they can go up 20, 30 feet. Sneeze, the same thing. But more importantly is the mask debacle. Because 99% of the people wearing masks, they don't keep nothing out. All they do is trap your breath that you're breathing out in the inside of the mask, and you keep recycling your own bad carbon dioxide and stuff that you breathe out.
Ugh.
And yeah, it's nasty, isn't it? The idiot up there in Sacramento, Gruesome Newsom, he sits there and says, well, you will open restaurants, but you can put your mask off long enough to eat and then put your mask back on while you're eating.
That was considerate.
Yeah, that's really great, isn't it? And as far as China Uber Alice, that's a great show. I told you that when I saw you earlier in the month, but it's a great show. And Amy standing up to Conrad Terry cracked me up.
Oh, yeah, that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
That was. So how you been holding up with all this silliness?
Not too well. No, I haven't been holding up well at all.
Stay positive, my friend. Like my dad told me 100 years ago. You knew my dad.
Yeah.
You know, son, you're never going to get out of this joke we call life alive. So don't take it or yourself too serious.
Oh, good. Well, maybe if I sing, that's when I sing or listen to music, it makes me feel better. You know, no matter how bad I feel. So that's good. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. And figure that whatever happens on Tuesday is in God's hands, you know, and that's what's meant to be, you know. And I think what's meant to be is the correct thing that will happen on Tuesday.
Yeah, Trump came down, and I said it several times on your radio station on a couple of your shows. When Trump came down the aisle, Billy Sunshine asked me what I thought about it, and I said, well, if he makes the first debate, he's going all the way. God answered my prayers. No more Bushes and no more Clintons. And that happened. He did. He became president. And everything seems just the same as it was back then. Oh, yeah. Biden's ahead of Trump by 10 points, 15 points. Same thing that they said about Hillary before Hillary lost.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe in any of these polls. I think they're BS, all of them. But in any case, I think. But I am a little concerned about the young people, because I do think that young people are going to turn out stronger than ever in any election in the past. And I think most of the young people are going to vote against Trump. I'm also concerned about the honesty of the vote counting, of the ballot tabulations and so forth. But other than that, I think I'm not concerned at all, you know, so.
Yeah, well, it's in God's hands, like you said. Same with this voting kung fu flu. If you don't get it, you don't get it.
Exactly. And I don't know how true it is if you have type O blood, which I do.
So do I.
Yeah, that you're immune. I hadn't heard that. I heard you're less likely to get it if you have type O blood. The first time I heard that you're supposedly immune was from a caller on this show earlier today.
I heard
hope it's true. I'm not sure it is. Anyhow, WC, great to hear from you.
Friend, have a good week.
Yeah, you too. And gee, apologies to Orrin. Oh, no. Orrin is Tom's guest on the Tom Quinn show next. Apologies to Ted in Scotts Valley. It's just too late in the show to take his call. But thank you, Josh Stevens. Oh, my gosh. I'm late for running the That's All, folks, but here it is. KSCO.